And now, what you've all been waiting for, our very own Fergus. He's termed a technical officer, he's much more than that. It says he's worked for 45 years experience. I can't believe that. He's much more than 45. Anyway, broadcast and media industries, and he wants to give us, and he needs to give me anyway, advice on phone systems. So, Fergus, would you please first with your input? Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Fergus, for those who haven't met me before. And after the build-up, it's rather difficult to say 45 years is a long time. But when I started, telephones were bits of twisted wire and you had a hand crank. And there used to be a nice lady in the exchange who used to say, "Number please," and then she used to listen to what you had to say, and when you were talking to your girlfriend, your mother soon found out. Anyway, things have moved on. I gave a talk 18 months ago about this subject. Things have really changed in the last 18 months. A few members said, "Oh, it's too technical," so I've taken a lot of the technical bits out for this time. Others said, "Oh, it'll never catch on, it'll never happen." Fortunately, it has happened. So anyway, pots and pans, it's nothing to do with cooking. Absolutely nothing. I'll explain pots and pans and then we'll move into a few more bits. So, as I've said, time's changing. British Telecom have decided to turn off what we call the telephone system, the PSTN, the Public Switched Telephone Network. It's analogue, it's falling apart. Anyone who's got a noisy telephone at the moment will know what it's all about. There's been some pressure put on the government, and then from the government down on BT and the other suppliers, to sort out people who have, well, it's a bit too loud, telecare systems, so people who have a red care or a pendant or whatever. The suppliers of those systems, not all of them, but some of them, sat on their hands, did nothing, and expected BT to do everything. And under the new world, a lot of those red care systems don't work. So BT have set up a system within BT where anyone who has a red care number will have a dedicated telephone number to tell them where to go when it's time to move and what they have to do. And the BT man will actually visit them to do the work. So, what we're going to look at is the differences between the technologies, where and how you can join this PANS world. I'll explain what PANS is in a minute. After that, we'll look at what it's caused to kill off radio and telly as we know it, and what's going to happen there. And introduce you to a not-so-new kid on the block, which for some of you, you probably already know it, and maybe some of you have even got one, but we'll find out. So, before I go any further, touch your nose like this if you have fibre at home. If you know you have fibre at home, touch your nose. I say touch your nose so we don't embarrass all the others, because we know how much better it is, don't we? Yes. Yeah. So I was surprised at how many people have. So, sorry?
No, how do we know?
You're paying for it. Well, yes and no, you pay for it. It can be a lot cheaper.
How do you know you got it?
The simplest way is, do you use something like iPlayer or ITVX?
Yeah. No. Yes. Because my TV does not go down the internet.
Right. So you probably still on a copper circuit. But if you have something like ITVX or iPlayer, it is always smooth on fibre. Always. It's always. It doesn't buffer.
Even if you've got copper coming into the house.
If you've got copper coming into the house, you're still on copper. Yeah, but you'd be lucky if it doesn't buffer. The only time our system at home, and I live in Ashley, buffers is at 1 minute past 7 when my wife wants to watch Emmerdale. And I get it in the neck. So anyway, POTS is plain old telephone system. It's an American phrase, but I borrowed it because it's an easy way of just explaining how it works. It was designed for voice characteristics, and I'm still a bit loud, so I'm going to turn that down. You all right to the back, Roger? You all right still? Right.
A little dark, but never mind.
Sorry, I should have really have used a lighter colour for the background. The bandwidth that I'm talking about for broadband is an addition. It was added on in the 90s because for those of us who have been in computers a long time, we used to have a dial-up modem that used to go squawk, 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 squawk and connect.
Oh.
And that wasn't fast enough.
No.
Some of you may remember 56K modems. Well, they weren't fast enough. And when I started, you used to have to plug the telephone handset in a box. And it was an optical connection, and it used to run a lot slower than that. So BT and others came up with this idea of being able to push onto your copper wires the broadband. I'll leave it at that. I won't explain how it's done. Just take it that it does work. So PANs, this is a real American cheesy phrase, pretty amazing new service. The things you can do on the fibre network, they're just mind-blowing what they are to the engineers. VoIP is what we'll talk about. So sorry, go back to that for a sec. VoIP is what I want to talk about because that is for anyone who has a bill for their telephone and says, how much a month? You go to VoIP and the call cost goes through the floor. And I'll show you that in a minute. You need fibre to your house for this to work. But I'll also cover that. PANs, again, the problem with copper is you have a limit between, in old words, the exchange and your house. That was a fixed limit of 4,000 feet. And in the new world, the telephone isn't the primary driver for the force. It's just a service. It's just something that runs on the fibre. And it's there all the time. Bandwidth is as much as you can consume or want to consume. And it's easy for the manufacturers and the suppliers to join all your networks together. So here we go. Good. I just want to leave this for you to read. This is more or less from my last talk. That BT used to have a monopoly, and slowly it's been whittled away and the prices have come down. And it started off in the 80s and it's moved further forward. Broadband arrived in the 90s and that really caused a change in the attitude of BT and other suppliers. Now, I have to point out at this point, I've put it in blue so you can see it a bit clearer. OpenReach, which is a part of the BT group, is responsible for the delivery of all I have to qualify that. All suppliers other than the likes of Airband are supplied down your copper wires or down the fibre provided by OpenReach. So OpenReach is a semi-independent company within BT. It's like it's at arm's length, but it's still BT. So it has its own board, it has its own finance, it has its own HR, it has its own marketing and sales and engineering. And BT just sells a service that runs across this OpenReach network. Now, apart from OpenReach having a customer called BT, they have about 500 other customers. Amongst them are Zen, who some of you may remember from the good old days. TalkTalk is another one. Sky. They all act as little satellites around the OpenReach network. So when you pick up your phone, no matter who you have, if you use TalkTalk or BT, it goes down the OpenReach circuit, gets picked off in the exchange, and then is routed to wherever. Did I make that clear, or have I thought myself into a corner? It's very important you understand this bit. Happy? Can we move on? Right. So what do you get with PANs? You get cheap telephone calls, and I mean cheap telephone calls. You can surf the internet. You can stream. So you can have your magic lantern in the corner of your sitting room, your television, and you can watch. Whether you have a Sky Glass package from Sky, or you have a Freely, which I'll come on to in a minute, or you just use your current TV to stream from iPlayer or ITVX or Channel 4 or Channel 5, whoever. A growing area is home security. A lot of people have now got Ring doorbells, for example, to use a trade name. There's a growing number of people who like to sit out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, look, somebody's at my door, or somebody's walking in my backyard. That home security has been made possible by the greater use of fibre connections. And there's those people who like to sit there with a headset and a keyboard and play games all day and all night. But it takes all sorts. Right, so I talked a little bit before about how OpenReach is the hardware, it's the tube, if you like, and all these other companies hang on to it for leeches. That's one choice. Now, in the PANs world, you have all of these other ways of getting your telephone and your internet connection. Some of them are obvious, some of them you've probably never even heard of. Now, somehow on here, I should be able to get, oops, I'm trying to get the pointer to work. So, by terrestrial, I mean ground-based, and satellite, I mean something up in the sky. Under satellite, if we look at these first, you've got satellites that are geostationary, that sit up there, and they provide a fixed pattern that looks at all of the UK, and it delivers primarily radio and TV. So that when you sit there with your set-top box and you watch Sky, it's coming off, oops, hang on, now I'm getting myself in the muddle. Yeah, so it's sitting on one of these, geostationary. You can also buy, if you want to pay for it, a modem that lets you have your internet delivered from one of these guys, and that will sting you about 150 to 200 pounds a month. So it's not really a game on it. There is a guy called Elon Musk that nobody's ever heard of. He's very good at selling himself and taking your money. He runs something called, let's get the right button again, Starlink. This is a group of satellites that orbit the Earth, and he uses those to take your money. Now, this Starlink and this Neosphere system and the LEO from Amazon, they're all a chain of satellites that are just running all the time. So they're rotating around the Earth, and there's one that covers the UK, and a few minutes later, another one covers the UK, and another one covers the UK. So they're not fixed. And because they're not fixed, he doesn't have the cost infrastructure of keeping it up there. It's moving all the time, and it uses gravity to swing itself around the Earth. And he and others, this is Musk and the other companies, are currently in a price battle So if you're interested in going away from your copper circuit and you can't get airband, these, oops, push the right button, these guys may be a solution for you. But Starlink at the moment, for £30 a month, you can have a 200 megabit download, which is, considering you can get maybe 20 megabits terrestrially, is a good deal, so it would appear. However, these guys are in competition with each other, so the prices are falling a little bit. If you go over your time with Starlink, he limits how much data you can have. If you go over the limit by a megabit, you pay £70 in the next month. So it's, you've got to be careful with them. Now, who's got one of these? Everyone got one of these, a mobile phone? Come later in the year, Virgin O2 is going to let you send a text from here via, in fact, the deal between Virgin is with Starlink. So your phone will talk to Starlink and you'll be able to send text messages from anywhere and receive text messages anywhere. So, do you want it? Yes or no? Now, in the autumn of this year, Vodafone are going to be using these to do a similar service, but it will be voice and text. So it's a way of them getting away from all their towers that they have scattered around the country and getting into areas that they can't cover at the moment. But Mr. Vodafone is also being smart. He's going to offer a box that is going to start rivaling these guys. So he's talking currently of £25 a month for a 1 gigabit download, which is going to be in direct competition to all of these guys who deliver by fibre. So currently I'm with Vodafone and they're offering me this super deal. But I've decided I'm going to stay with the terrestrial side of the world. I used to have one of these, a 4G mode at home, because my telephone system provided by Openreach was rubbish. I could get 3 megabits on it. And when your wife wants to watch Emmerdale at 7 o'clock at night and you want to do something on the computer, 3 megabits just doesn't cut it. So I looked around and decided that for me, airband would be the way to go. I have to, at this point, issue a disclaimer to say that I am a very happy airband customer, and I am very active on getting people to join them because they are brilliant. It works. There's also GigaClear, Openreach that we've talked about, Virgin Media, and this Vodafone here is really, and it will be an extension of that. But if you live in the big cities in this country, you can get a Vodafone fibre service. Happy? Can we move on? So, the move was effectively from copper to fibre. In BT's case, they have a problem. They've, to use a financial phrase, sweated the assets. They haven't invested for years and years and years. They sold their exchanges in 2000 and made lots of money and made profit. And they invested some of that money in services outside of the UK. So now they have a problem. The leases are about to expire, and the landlord is saying, yes, we will renew them, but at the 2025 price, which is a lot higher than the 2000 price when they sold them. So they have to find this money. The big issue is the altnets. These are the guys who are the airbands, the GigaClears of this world, who are champing at the feet of BT and reducing the price and forcing BT to reduce their prices. Excuse me. Openreach also have a problem, which was highlighted for the last 2 years in the BT accounts, of they have some financially insecure customers. Now by that, financially insecure customers, it's not people like us who are not paying. It's a couple of their big customers, I'll name one of them as TalkTalk, hasn't paid their bills. Now, TalkTalk currently owe them in excess of £20 million. So, somewhere that money's got to turn up. Now, in the telecoms press, there's a lot of talk at the moment where BT is talking about buying TalkTalk. But TalkTalk are saying, BT are not the only suitor. They're saying we have an offer from Telefonica. Telefonica is a Spanish company that wants to move into the UK, and TalkTalk would be an ideal way in. So there's a few insecurities. The other point that really makes it for BT is fibre allows them to go 20 kilometres from their exchange to you. So they don't need to have as many exchanges in the country. So they've realised that they can reduce their building count beyond 2030, so they don't have to renegotiate the leases on all their sites. So, what does this mean for us? There's currently 9 exchanges in our local area. So who knows where Craddock is? Who lives near Craddock? Oh,
You're not nothing there.
so you must live there. So Craddock is Afcom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these top exchanges that are written in white will be closing. Openreach is currently working on replacing all of those, the fibre infrastructure in all of those towns. So at my last meeting, I showed this slide and I was poo-pooed and told it's never going to happen. Fact, it is happening. If you live in Brackenford, you'll be surprised how little copper there is now. If you live in Bickley, you're famous, you're world famous. Because on YouTube, Openreach have actually shown how they did it in Bickley. If you're bored, you want something to do one night, you're on YouTube, go type in Bickley and Openreach, and there's a 5-minute video. Nice scenic part of Bickley, shows you all the nice parts, shows you the bridge, shows you the underside of the bridge, and the bridge is intact, the walls are still where we've got to. So when they're finished, only Tiverton, which is just down the road, and Columpton exchanges will exist. So all these others they'll all go, and you'll have a fibre from your house to either Tiverton or Columpton, because it fits inside the 20-kilometre range. So they're keeping the area code, and in some parts of the country, area codes are disappearing because the distance between these exchanges in other parts of the world and their parent, which is what these two are closer, so they're getting rid of area codes totally. So
Fergus, do you mean we just sit and wait in Oxford? We don't do anything, they're going to do it for us?
yeah, if you're keen and you're surfing, and you can do it right now if you're bored with me, because the Wi-Fi in here isn't too bad, go to Openreach and put your postcode in and put your telephone number in, and it will tell you approximately when they're going to be doing the work. At the moment, if you go to the Openreach site, it says, we're working in your area. And when they say working in your area, they mean we're working in this area here. But these, they've done Bickley, they've disappeared. Kentisbeare they're working on, because I was in that area a couple of weeks ago and I saw a couple of OpenReach guys pulling cable off a drum. Tiverton they're definitely working. And in Tiverton, are you listening, Roger? You tell me you're almost on. So there are parts of Tiverton that you can get fibre now if you push them. But the way BT works is it likes to have a whole area code finished and then they blitz it, saying you can move to this now with an encouragement of a backhander to move. If you don't take them up, later on they will just turn up and switch you over.
Can I just say that when you look at that, it's totally illogical.
It is.
Because Sanford Pebble should be open in London, Clapham should be open in Tiverton.
Well, that's just the way it came out.
I'm sure Clampton is one part of the...
All right, so here's a question. Let's go back. Sanford Peveril, where's the exchange? Anyone know where the Sanford Peveril exchange is?
Isn't it in Sanford Pebble? Is there one there?
Muggins here is asking the question as to where's the Sanford Peveril exchange. It's not in Sanford Peveril, it's in Halberton.
Oh, it's Halberton, yeah.
So how they work that out, and can somebody explain why it's called Craddock and not Ufcombe? So there was a village called Craddock.
There is.
Oh, sorry.
But it's not really a
I stand corrected. I'm just a foreigner. I'm an import. Right, let's move on. Right, so who remembers Boris Johnson? Well, in the days when the United Kingdom was in the EU, there was an EU directive that said, we will give you, as a country, cash to upgrade your telephone networks, but you have to have competition. You have to open up, you have to deregulate the competition. And that happened across the EU. Now, Boris and his friends, and David Cameron, decided, with the people's support, to leave the EU. But in the EU agreement, there is money to cover this move. So when they talk about, oh, we've got all this money for you, it's not British taxpayers' money, it's EU money. Now, they can't touch it, because Boris tried to move it, and he got threatened with court action, because he wanted to move it into his levelling up fund and shift it all up north.
We gave it to them in the first place.
Yeah, now it's coming back. Yeah, so until, I think it's October this year, there is money available to do all this fibre work. So when the likes of Airband and GigaClear and OpenReach say, we're investing all this money, a lot of it is from here. There is, and I'll explain in a minute, where some of the cash is coming from, but most of it is coming out of this get the right button, out of this Brexit fund. So in the directive, it divided up the whole country into small little geographic lots so that they could manage it. Devon and Somerset, the councils got together and decided, we're going to have 20% of this money, so we'll do it for us, because we know what we're doing. Currently, they've run amok, the money's running out, and Building Digital UK has taken some of the money back, because OpenReach was saying, well, we don't want to deal with all these little companies, we want to deal with the government. Now, part of the opening up was OpenReach, as the incumbent, had to agree with the government that they would allow the altnets, the GigaClears, the Airbands, the Netmanias, there's probably about 40 or 50 of these altnets, they had to let them use their ducts under the ground, they use their fibres, use space in their exchanges for a price. So there was an agreement struck between OpenReach and all these altnets, excuse me, called gain share. And it comes up whenever if you talk to Airband and you get inside them, you say gain share, and they all get really frightened by it. And OpenReach was encouraged by the government to bid. So by encouraged, they were told what the others were bidding, so it was a bit dark. So the local area was roughly divided into east of the M5, west of the M5, south of the A361. Then there's, does anyone know where the 3137 goes? Yeah. It's Witheridge. It's sort of the western side. And then Bickley magically got its own little empire. And then there's the last lot was north of the A361. So, lot 1 was won by GigaClear. Lot 2 was won by Airband. Lot 3 was also won by Airband. Lot 4 went to OpenReach. They were the only bidders because nobody wanted Bickley because there wasn't the money in the area. And lot 5, no bidders went for the lot. Now, subsequently to that, Airband have, in some parts of the area, moved in with a bit of encouragement from the Bid UK and from CDS. So if you live north of the 361, it is a problem area. So, there's been an issue in Ufcombe, which John highlighted. It was awarded to GigaClear, but they didn't deliver. They had this huge area, and they only delivered part of it in Ufcombe itself. So CDS, the local finance people, withdrew their funding from GigaClear and gave it to Vodafone, which is why you have this little blob of Ufcombe and surrounded by OpenReach and Airband. So you can, if you go to the Ofcom website, I'll get to this in a minute, you can actually find out who your fibre providers are. So you can make a choice as to whether you want GigaClear, OpenReach, or if you're in the right place, Airband. Now in Ufcombe, some of the postcodes are divided and it's down to individual houses as to whether they have one or the three available. So it's a bit of a model. Then the big news is Zone 2 west of the M5, which includes sort of all of Tiverton up here, down where I live in Ashley. We have a choice. So we have OpenReach, who are, as I mentioned earlier, still working in the area, Airband, who have a very active working service, and Virgin Media have moved in. Now, Virgin Media have cherry-picked the centre of Tiverton. They don't come down my way, they stop at the Walrins, and they come up around here. Now, they funded their network themselves, so they didn't go to the government and say, please, sir, can we have some of your money? They've bankrolled it themselves, and the way they've done it is they're owned by an American organisation and Telefonica from Spain. It's a joint venture. And Telefonica wants to get into the UK telephone, so they're funding Virgin Media. So it's swings and roundabouts. Now let's get into the good bits. For those of you who live in the north, so north of the A361, talk to me later, but this is a way that you might be able to get yourself some broadband. But it's really tied up, and the killer is there is no government-funded contracts planned or in place. Most of the country has these little lots, so this doesn't count. But north of the 361, because there was no take up on the lot, you should be able to push them into doing something. Now, this is what you're all here for. This is where you put your money on the table and you take the choice. So, oops. VoIP is the new flash phone. You know, one of these you can see yourself on it. And you can talk to people. The same goes for the copper-based, for the fibre-based VoIP phones, or you can stay with your good old analog. Now, I stole this from an American website, which is why they've got this crazy-looking phone on it. Anyway, so you have to choose who you're going with, and there are currently 130 different companies registered with Ofcom to provide VoIP telephone services in the UK. So there's a huge choice of who you want to go for. You have to decide whether you want to pay a flat fee per month and then pay a bit above it if you go over the fair usage policy, or you pay per call. Now, if you're paying per call, the question you want to ask them is, how do they calculate telephone call duration? There are some out there that calculate the telephone call from the time I pick up my phone and I dial a number and I'm going to call Mike Barlow. So my phone, I enter the number, I push the go button, and some of them start billing from the time I push the go button. The fact that Mr. Barlow hasn't picked his phone up is immaterial to them. They're still billing me for the cost. Others let me dial Mike Barlow, and they don't charge me until he picks his phone up and says, "Hello, Fergus, about time you called me." So, let's go back. You've got to be a bit careful because they are really sly. Now, they can do that under the Ofcom rules. So, it's a battle. Now, the ones who tend to do this extra time, the dead time, if you like, are the ones who offer you the cheapest price. The ones who are half a penny a minute. But they're getting their money back from you because of the time when you're not speaking. So, right. So there's your supplier include a VoIP phone. Some suppliers will give you a phone to use on the network, and it's included in the package. Some don't. So it's another little battle. Or if you've got a phone at the moment which is on the old copper network, you can use one of these ATA adapters, which is a little blob that connects your phone BT socket, a little rectangular socket, to a LAN connector. So it will go on your network. Or, as I've said here, you can buy your own adapter. Move on. So I did a bit of analysis, just for my own edification, before I moved. Because I have a slight bias to this company, only because they've helped me get my service, because to get to my house wasn't easy for them, but they did. So I thought, well, in fairness, I will give them some more business. So I pay them £8 a month for 5,000 minutes of call. So 5,000 minutes. And that includes all my calls to my phone that my wife assists in doing. Instead of using her mobile phone to call me, she calls me on the house phone. I have some friends who are smart and they got rid of their house phone and they just have their mobiles. and my wife calls them 2 or 3 times a week. So all of that comes out of that £8 a month. They also provide, in that £8, an adapter. So I'm not paying out the 50 odd pounds to buy the adapter. These guys, so in fact, nearly all of the companies charge to move your phone from BT or OpenReach across to them. Now this charge varies depending on who you go with it. It's between £20 and £50. So you need to watch that. And this is the company that I was going with, A&A. Another company I have to declare I have used them in the past for a couple of radio stations that I've built. But their charges, instead of this £8 a month, they want to charge you 1.5p for a call to another fixed telephone, or 4p a minute to a mobile. They also had decided that they were going to charge me a line rental of £1.56, and their porting was £15. But if you add this up, it's about £83 a year. If you add this up, it's £96 a year. Who's the winner? This one or this one? This one includes the call costs. This one, when I sat down and worked out how much my wife and I used the phone, this was going to go from £83 to about £130 a month, a year. So it's a no-brainer for me. This was the way to go. And all I had to do was ring them up, tell them that I'm already a customer. And they said, "Oh yes, hello Mr. McGilp, about time you called. We'll be waiting for your call, ... I gave them the phone number I wanted to change, and that's it. 10 days later, I get in the post one of these little adapters, and an email arrived the next day saying, at 10 o'clock tonight, please plug in this adapter to plug your house phone into this adapter at 10 o'clock tomorrow night, and it will all work. And sure enough, that's all I had to do, and it worked. So I now don't have any connection with the BT OpenReach infrastructure. So my home phone is just a service on my airband fibre network. Dead easy. I had no aggravation, it just worked. So it's easy to move your phone number. Once you're in this world, once you're in the world away from OpenReach, I could move it from airband to somebody else by giving airband 30 days notice. So if you don't like what they're charging you, or you don't like the quality of the calls or whatever, or somebody says, oh, you go to these people, you only have to give them 30 days notice, and then the new company can move you over. Believe me? Happy? Am I confusing you? Right. This will really get you going. Let's move into the world of telly. Much more interesting. So I put this together. It's not very colourful or clear, but at the top we have all of the broadcasters in the UK. Then in the middle row is how you get it, and then what sort of TV you have. So you're all familiar with BBC ITV. How you get it is either terrestrially with an aerial, so that horrible little thing that sits up on the chimney. This service is called Freeview, or if you have a satellite dish, it's called FreeSat or Sky. Now, FreeSat runs on the back of Sky. So the BBC and ITV recognise that a lot of people have a Sky dish and they don't have a Sky subscription anymore. And at the same time, Mr. Sky recognised the same thing, that he was losing customers, and the only way to hang on to them was he needed to get a deal with the BBC and ITV to run on his package. So they came together and they formed FreeSat. which is a combination of all of the Sky channels and all of the free-to-air BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5s. If you don't go down this route, the other way you can get your telly is by using the BBC iPlayer or ITVX or Channel 4, Channel 5's player, or freely. There's that word again. We'll come back to freely in a little minute. Across the bottom is effectively the displays. So this is just a quick outline of how things work. Now, there's a big thing coming up, which some of you may have noticed. There's a new DG in town for the BBC. The charter is up for renewal, and there's already been a lot of things leaked in the press. There's been things leaked in the trade press which haven't appeared in the mainstream press, because the mainstream press doesn't really get to grips with it. They don't understand it, what's going on. But there's a big change coming. Apart from the change on the telephones, this change is going to hit every single one of you, whether you like it or not. It's going to happen. And I mean, it's going to happen. I can't emphasise that enough. So ITV sent an open letter to this crowd here, DCMS. Anyone know what DCMS is?
Department of Culture, Media and Sport.
It's Department of Culture, Media and Sport. It's the government. It's the branch of the government that orchestrates or legislates for radio and TV and sport and whatever. So ITV sent this letter saying they want to move away from TV through the aerial to an online distribution only, because so many houses in the UK now have full fibre, and by the time the ITV license expires in 2031, the whole country will have full fibre. So why aren't we using it? For them, it's a lot cheaper. Likewise with the BBC, it's going to be a lot cheaper if they can do it. The BBC have floated the idea of some channels moving off the terrestrial, the Freeview and the Freesat, and being only online. They tried it with BBC Three. Was it BBC Three? Yes, BBC Three. Now it's back on, only because they got such a good deal on carriage from Arqiva that it came back. But they will all eventually go to being an online only. And Sky are the real drivers for this. And they're really hard-nosed. If you're signing up to Sky now, you have to take a broadband connection. They will not supply you with a satellite dish. So those days are coming to an end. Part of the change is that people like me are getting old. When we put this technology in, it was 30 years ago, and ITV have not updated theirs. They're like BT, they're just sweating the assets. They have not updated their kit. And now they're at the point where, in ITV's case, 2 of their suppliers, the companies have gone. They're not in business. And ITV are going around the world trying to find kit and buying it, to bring it back here, to patch together to keep their network going. Also, I have to go back to my phone. Who's heard of the Internet of Things? Yes. A few clued up people have heard of the Internet of Things. It's another internet within the current internet that we all know and love. So it's another bunch of cowboys who are going to be fighting out for space. Thereafter, the spectrum that is currently used for Freeview television. So there's great pressure on the broadcasters to retrench the amount of spectrum they use for their TV aerial distribution. Now these guys have more money than the broadcasters, so they will win. And I've said there, no capacity nor interest from broadcasters for new services. They don't want to launch new channels in the current world because they just don't see any return. They'd rather encourage people to go to their online arrangements. Now, there's another aspect to this, which is the good old British attitude. The physical satellites sitting up there at 27,000 miles, fixed location, they're getting old. They only have a fixed life. The ones that cover the UK will probably run out of fuel to keep them located in about 2030, 2031. And the company that owns them, SES, has not placed any orders to replace them because SES's customer, Sky, doesn't want to. So they're not going to spend millions and millions of pounds building a satellite that nobody's going to use. So Sky have intimated to SES that they will not be renewing all of their contracts because the way it works between SES and Sky, that some of the channels are on longer term contracts than some of the others, like the movie channels. On top, bit of confidential information. The movie channels are on very short time contracts between Sky and SES, so that Sky can just drop them if they don't work. The likes of their sports channels, they're on a lot longer duration contracts, so that because Sky can support those for longer because they've got the money coming in. Like they have a 10-year lifetime because the contracts for sport tend to be 10-year durations. They also have a problem down here. Us, the subscribers, we've got so much choice now because people can watch their ITVXs and their BBC iPlayers and their Paramount TV channels online easier and cheaper than paying a subscription to Sky. So Sky is seeing their subscriber base falling. And we talked earlier about the FreeSat joint venture. I've gone the wrong way. Sorry. Oh, I've duplicated the slide. Aren't we lucky? Right, this is the new kid on the block, Freely. I'm really taken by this box. This is the screen you get when you power it up. Who's got a Freely TV? Ah, a convert. They're brilliant, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Still got the same program.
Yeah, it has, it's the same programs, it's just an easier way of navigating.
Yeah.
So,
I can watch YouTube on it and also.
yes.
Yeah.
How do you get Freely? Is it a free TV or?
Yes, there is a free TV. It's a Freely TV. You can do it in two ways. You can go into your favourite high street store and buy a Freely TV because they're branded across the bottom of the screen Freely, and it has all this ready to go. Or you can buy a box from a number of different manufacturers that will present that screen on your current screen.
So what's the advantage?
Right?
What's the advantage of my smart TV?
It's a competitor to your smart TV,
Well, why is it better?
but does your TV give you Netflix, YouTube, now Disney Plus,
Yes.
lined up like that?
Yes.
Yeah. Mine's a Roku or something.
So
There's no difference, I can see.
it gives you all the same bits,
Yeah.
but, oops, let's go back to it. You have, yeah. So when you're using the remote control on your smart TV, how do you go from something on Netflix to something on Now? Can you just go through the workflow?
Click on
Go
it.
to home and
You come on a button.
Yeah,
right, and then you push that button.
yeah.
It goes down a screen until you get to Netflix and all that. And then you just scroll along and choose whatever one you want.
Right. Well, in the freely world, and I don't know if your freely set does this, you have a handset and you program the buttons on the handset. So button 1 can be a program on iPlayer. Button 2 can be a program on Disney.
Oh no, but then you lose the controller and you can't do it.
My goal, you've got to have some. So that's what I like about it, is you have your remote control and you can go BBC. So that's my sales pitch for freebie. It's good to know that some people actually have one. So to answer the questions. So, 5. Right. So they sell screens in all sorts of shapes and sizes. They use Wi-Fi to connect, so you don't need to run cables to them. You can buy set-top boxes from these guys for £70. Now, this guy here, he's really smart. He'll sell you a box for £70, but he'll also sell you the same box for £150. Exactly the same box. The difference is he bundles loads of different streamer channels into the £75 difference, hoping that you will stay locked in. And then in the second year, he says, "Oh, I'll have £75, please." So it's another of these buyer beware. And there's another little gem with this guy, Qmax. He lets you record, which these two don't, and nor does freebie.
So you can't record programs?
Well, my question is, why do you need to?
Look up.
Yes and no. BBC man, no ads. Much better. Yeah, that's and the last slide, and this to my mind is something you need to look at. If you live in Tiverton or the environs and you have access to airband and you have currently average Wi-Fi or poor Wi-Fi in your house, go to airband and they give you in the package, in the £29 a month that you pay them, they give you a Nokia Beacon 6. Now people say, "Oh, what's that?" The Nokia Beacon 6 is the benchmark Wi-Fi box. Every manufacturer tries to beat this box, and they can't. This is the way to go. You stick it in your sitting room, you get that, you follow the instructions that come with it, you set it up, you walk around your house, you map where there's good Wi-Fi, no Wi-Fi, poor Wi-Fi. You come back, you move the beacon to somewhere else, you walk around your house, you find the best place to put it.
We all like to do this.
I do, yeah. I don't watch TV, I just do this. But they also, within the package, you get one box that you sit somewhere, and then they give you a second box that you can put somewhere else. So if you find when you've mapped it, it doesn't work very well in one room, you just take this other box and put it in the room. Right, I'll leave that up. Any questions?
Come to the end of the time, and we're so grateful to Fergus. We're lucky to have this man in our midst with this knowledge that he's willing to impart, free at the point of delivery, and no licence fee required. So could I ask you please to show your appreciation of